Have you ever wondered how your favorite content creators actually make money? One of the biggest questions that I am asked as a full-time micro-influencer is how can you actually make a substantial income with a smaller audience? To answer that question, I'm taking you behind the curtain and sharing my 2023 Influencer Income Report, where I walk you through my 8 income streams that all together technically make up my salary as a self-employed creator. If you're new to my channel, I have been creating content for quite a long time, but it wasn't until 2021 that I left my 9-to-5 job to pursue content creation full time. And I am not gonna lie, I have loved every moment of getting to be my own boss. I first started a blog in 2012, so content creation was basically my side hustle for about 9 years. Even as a side hustle though, I still felt pulled to create content, even when I was in school or working other jobs or had other obligations, which proved to me that this had longevity and was more than just a hobby. Some people are surprised to learn that 100% of the income I make in a year comes from content creation, and I'm proud to say this as a micro content creator, as in someone who has fewer than 100,000 followers across all platforms. However, I could not do it if I did not have these 8 income streams that all come together to create my yearly income. So let's get into the breakdown. I'm going to be starting with the income streams that earned me the smallest percentage this year and working my way up and ending with the income stream that brought me the most money overall. And for each income stream, I also plan to touch on how that income stream changed from 2022 and what I am prioritizing most with that income stream as we head into 2024. So let's start off with one-on-one consulting, which made up a grand total of 1% of my total income in 2023. So my one-on-one consulting sessions are for influencers and content creators who want to book one-on-one time with me to discuss certain problems they may be facing or questions that they have about content creation. Last year, consulting made up 4.5% of my total income, so this is a drop, but it's kind of a reflection of a few things that have shifted in my business. First, while I love helping people one-on-one, I've come to realize that my time is truly valuable. So this year, I increased my rates for one-on-one consulting, and I also added a new interest/screening form for potential clients to make sure that the only inquiries I was fielding for consulting sessions were coming from people who were really serious about working together, given my higher rates and this interest form. And secondly, I've just realized that I really love the one-to-many approach because it enables me to help so many more content creators through things like my digital products and programs, which honestly to me just feels like a better use of my time and brings me a lot more joy. I wouldn't be surprised if I did at some point in the future phase out one-on-one consulting as an option altogether, but for now it is open and an option on my website for people who are seriously interested in working together. Let's move on to the next income stream that also only accounted for 1% of my total income, but I do think it's still important to talk about, and that is platform incentives. If you watched my 2022 income breakdown report, you may remember that platform incentives was my highest earning income stream of the year, making up 30% of my 2022 income. So what happened? You may also remember in that income breakdown that I predicted that this income stream would drop substantially for me in 2023, which is clearly the case. And the big reason for that is that a lot of these platform incentives don't exist anymore. In 2022, the 2 biggest contributors to the platform incentives income stream for me were the Pinterest Creator Rewards program. That was a 5-figure income stream for me in and of itself, and Instagram and Facebook Reels bonuses. So now that those 2 programs are no longer a thing, no longer an option for me as a content creator, that income stream has all but dissolved for me. The only exception here is the TikTok Creativity Beta program, which I am currently in, but I'm going to keep my expectations low for that income stream going into 2024, especially because there are income streams that make me more money that I'd rather prioritize at this time. Moving on to affiliates, which actually also made up 1% of my total income. I promise we're getting to the good stuff later on in this video, but I wanted to start small and work my way up. For me, affiliates is kind of a constant work in progress, and I've certainly learned much more about affiliates as an income stream in the last few years, but For me, it's one of those income streams where it definitely performs better at scale. If you have a bigger audience and you're sharing your affiliate links with more people, you're naturally going to see more clicks and more sales than someone with a smaller audience. So I think you either need that large audience or you need affiliate programs with really high commission rates. For example, technology affiliate programs pay me much more than if I were to link a lipstick on my Instagram stories. In terms of the audience component, this audience could be your own audience that you've built on your social media platforms, or it could be an existing audience on Amazon or on LTK that is already searching for content with the mindset that they want to buy something. So if you can't take advantage of your own audience, you might want to be on an affiliate network like LTK or set up an Amazon storefront where your content could be discovered by more people already on those platforms. So this percentage is pretty on par with what I earned in affiliate income in 2022 as well. However, I have been making a few shifts, especially in the last few weeks, that I'm interested to see how they play out in 2024. Namely, sharing mostly lifestyle content to LTK and just focusing on collages for events like the Sephora Savings Sale or Cyber Monday. And also, I finally have opened my own Amazon storefront. It took me until this year to kind of get it up and running. So now that I have made those two shifts, I'm curious to see what's next for me and affiliates in 2024. Moving on to an income stream that made up 3% of my total income for the year, and that is my Patreon membership. So this was my second year with my Patreon membership, and I have to say overall, I'm pretty happy with the retention in the Patreon and with the content that I've been producing. It's very on par with what I promised when you sign up for the membership. And I've been able to deliver that content consistently for the last 2 years. If you're not familiar with my Patreon, it's essentially a paid resource vault that gets updated every month with new content ideas, challenges, exclusive video trainings and tutorials, and peeks into the behind the scenes of my business. And I currently offer $1, $3, and $5 a month tiers. So what you get depends just on how much you pay to access these resources each month. My goal with Patreon in 2024 has less to do with changing the core content of the membership and just more to do with marketing and continuing to get the word out there. I currently feel that with the Patreon, the work that I do is pretty on par with the amount of money I make each month. So my plan is to stay the course, but hopefully just get more members in there in 2024. Let's move on to my next income stream that accounted for 4% of my total 2023 income, and that was my digital products. I have long sung the praises of digital products here on this YouTube channel, and the biggest reason for that is many of them are evergreen or don't need much attention or updating. So usually when you create a digital product, unless it is an informational product where you want to make sure you're going back to update the information, for the most part, you can just kind of create that product and let it go. This year, digital products were a purely passive income stream for me since I didn't need to make any major updates to them, and also I didn't launch any new digital products this year. So with the exception of occasionally mentioning them in a YouTube video or marketing them in an email newsletter, that income sort of just came in. So for 4% of my total income to be from something I barely touched this year, I'm pretty happy with that overall. I do, however, definitely have some new ideas for digital products I want to release in 2024, so I'll keep you posted on what those will be. And by the way, if listening to all of the ways that I'm able to make money as a content creator has you thinking more about your creator business and which income streams might be best for you, I would highly recommend checking out the quiz Finding Your Why inside of my free guide, The Influencer Launchpad. This quiz will show you which of 3 creator types you might be, and from there, it might give you more ideas about which specific income streams could be best for you and your business. So that is linked down below in the description box, as always, if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet. So this next one is not technically an income stream, but I include it in here to give you a full picture of what my year looks like, whether that income is predicted or whether I'm getting income from kind of an unexpected source. So I call this income stream other. 8% of my total income from 2023 came from other, just meaning that I didn't predict or set a goal for this income stream at the start of the year. This is money that does not fit into one of my other categories that kind of just presented an opportunity and I decided to take. So a couple of things in the other category include sales from Poshmark, which is a clothing resale app. I have a profile on there, so if someone bought clothes from my closet, that's kind of in the other category of income for me. Also, freelance writing assignments. If you've watched for a long time, you'll know that I'm a former magazine editor, and I used to do quite a lot of freelance writing, but the pay rates for those really took a dip at the time that I was doing it, so it didn't really feel as worth it to me to put the energy into it. However, a former intern of mine actually started a new job and was looking for some freelance help, so I was able to pick up a few assignments from her. And then last in this category was paid studies or focus groups for brands. So sometimes brands want to interview content creators or even just consumers. I did one for a beauty brand earlier this year, and they will compensate you for your time. One of the best ways that I have been able to sign up for paid research studies is through a website called User Interviews. If you want to sign up and see if you qualify for any paid studies, if you want just a little bit of extra cash, or you want to meet and network with some really cool founders, I'll leave a referral link for that down below. So yeah, since none of that was income that I was expecting from this year, it kind of just goes in the other bucket. And now we're starting to get into the real meat of my income. This year, ad revenue made up 11% of my total income for 2023. Ads are another purely passive income stream for me because they run alongside content that I've already created on my blog and on my YouTube channel. I am so thrilled that ad revenue is my third highest income stream for the year. I will say ad revenue is a long game, but for every blog post you write, for every YouTube video you create, as the views and clicks on those continue to grow over time, you will really start to see the ad revenue snowball, and it is so worth it once you get to that point. My goal for 2024 is really to stay the course here. Long-form searchable content is going to continue to be a huge priority for me in 2024. My second highest earning income stream of 2023 was education. And I'm gonna break education into 3 smaller buckets just so you can see where I actually get money from in this category. So the first bucket is workshops where a company hired me to come in and create a presentation specifically for their employees or a group of people that they want me to present in front of on a particular topic. So that's kind of like a made-to-order workshop, which is something I offer to brands and companies, and I have done them on everything from fashion content creation to SEO. So that's always a really fun opportunity to get to work with some other great companies and to create these specific workshops to help a group of people. The next bucket for education is my workshop called What You Really Need to Know About SEO. And this is a workshop that I previously launched live, but I sell the recording of on my website. So that is a 60-minute evergreen workshop that is always available on my website. And the third bucket within education was my digital course, the Influencer Income Accelerator, which I'm excited to announce will be reopening for enrollment in a few weeks. So I'll leave a link down below in case you'd like to learn more about the course. So originally this year, I was predicting education to be a much larger income stream for me, more like 25 or 30%. But the main reason this did not come to fruition is because I was only able to launch my digital course once last year. I was hoping to launch it again, but with the wedding and timing and all of that stuff, it just didn't work out. So I'm totally fine with where I landed on my education income stream. I absolutely love teaching other content creators and feel so lucky to help creators in any small way that I'm able to. So my goal for 2024 is to relaunch my digital course. Like I just mentioned, I'm already in progress with that. And I also would love to do more of the workshops that I talked about as well, or even speak on a conference next year at some point. That would be an incredible opportunity. That's definitely on my 2024 vision board. And finally, we've arrived at my top income stream of 2023. I'll do a little drum roll, please. Making up 59% of my income for 2023 was brand deals. And I won't lie, this one kind of surprised me. Here's the thing, brand partnerships are no doubt the bread and butter of the influencer industry, and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. However, the reason this surprised me is if you told me in June that my top income stream of the whole year would have been brand partnerships, I would have been pretty confused because most of my brand partnerships happened in the back half of 2023. There was actually a 3-month stretch at the beginning of the year, and I don't think this has ever happened to me before, where I did not take on a single brand partnership. And not for lack of wanting to. I actually really enjoy brand partnerships, working with a company that I love on a creative concept and actually executing it and seeing it through. Truly one of my favorite parts about being a creator. But I definitely have gotten pickier over the years about which brand partnerships I take on. And I also have continued to just see more value in myself and the work that I do year after year. So I did turn down quite a lot of inbound offers that either weren't aligned with content that I really wanted to create for my audience or simply didn't pay enough. Last year, brand partnerships made up 24% of my total revenue. And this year, I just made much more from brand partnerships, like money-wise and percentage-wise, than I predicted I would. In 2024, I would really like to pitch myself for more brand opportunities. I really enjoy pitching. I just this year was short on time and didn't get as many pitch emails out as I would have liked. And I would definitely love to book some repeat brand partnerships with brands that I've been working with in the last few months because they've all really been incredible and positive experiences for me. Now, I mentioned that most of the brand partnerships I booked in 2023 were in the second half of the year. And that brings me to kind of some overall trends and takeaways that I want to walk through with you when it comes to my income from 2023. So let's review my top income streams for each quarter. So in Q1, my top income stream was education. In Q2, my top income stream was actually ad revenue. And then in the third and fourth quarters of the year, brand deals were far and away the top earning income stream. On a similar note, I want to rank the quarters of the year in terms of how much money of my total income for 2023 I made in which quarter. And this might surprise you. So my top earning quarter was Q4, the quarter at the end of the year. That actually made up 45% of my income for the entire year in just those 3 months, which is kind of crazy, but we'll talk about it. 29% of my total income from 2023 was earned in Q3. Q1 brought in 18% of my total income for the year, and Q2, I'm not gonna lie, Q2 had me worried for a bit there because it only accounted for 8% of my total income for the year. I don't know if the distribution has ever been this uneven before, but I did want to call it out just because I think it's important to share and I think it's really interesting. You know, on the topic of 45% of my total income for the year coming in this last quarter of 2023, I just want everyone to, for a second, think about businesses that are very seasonal because in a lot of ways, especially if you are a fashion or beauty or lifestyle content creator where holiday campaigns are a big thing and there's a huge push for sales and for holiday shopping at the end of the year, it really is a seasonal industry. To give you some other examples of seasonal businesses, there is a farm near where I grew up in New Jersey that I know does a huge portion of their business in the fall months, like September through November, because now they're offering apple picking, hay rides, pumpkin patches. They're selling apple cider donuts. Like, people love going there on a beautiful fall Saturday. And that is just kind of how it is for them. Like, that is usually their most popular time of the year. And I would guess maybe their second most popular time of the year is in the spring. I know they do a lot of like peach picking and kind of similar things like that. But I have to imagine the bulk of their business is really happening in the fall. I even saw a news story last year about a bakery in New Orleans that sells king cakes for Mardi Gras and does most of their business like in the last few weeks of January and the first few weeks of February, and really doesn't do much else for the rest of the year. They make the majority of their income for the whole year just from selling those king cakes. So that's kind of the call out I wanted to make there, especially for any of you who are in a similar niche to me in terms of the content you create. And I think it's important to think about how we can, as business owners, take this uneven distribution and even it out a little bit so that it feels like we are getting a bit more of that consistent income. So for months where we have a high cash flow, it's really important to set some of that aside for months that maybe are going to be a little bit slower. Like my May of this year was so slow. And then it's also really important to have passive income streams established in your business for months where you really don't have a lot of money coming in, or maybe all the brands are on vacation, or whatever the case may be. And then another interesting call out that I wanted to share was the percentage of my income from 2023 that was passive income. So my 4 passive income streams, which are ads, affiliates, my membership, and my digital products, those 4 income streams made up 19% of my total income for the year, which is amazing. Out of those 4 income streams, I would say that digital products and ads were purely passive for me this year, meaning I really didn't touch them. I really didn't have to do anything for money to be coming in from them, and I still was able to earn money, which is so awesome. Also, before we wrap, I want to acknowledge that this year I made about 18% less in total than I did in 2022. And that's okay. 2023 was an interesting year. We had the threat of a recession looming pretty much for most of the year. Up until recently, I kind of haven't heard much about it, but that was a huge thing in the first at least 6 months of the year. Budgets were being cut for influencer marketing. At that time, that was one of the first things to really slow down, which is why spring and the second quarter was especially slow for me as a full-time content creator. It was also a year where inflation was just running wild. Everything costs more for everybody. So a lot of people were less likely to spend unless it was a really necessary expense, which are all totally factors of why I earned less this year. 2023 was also a big year of a lot of personal things for me. I got married in 2023, and not only was I planning a wedding, but I was also planning my bridal shower and my bachelorette, because yes, I'm a Virgo only child and I need to be the planner of these things. And so I, at the end of the day, ended up working less. A lot of my free time, especially like evenings and weekends, went towards wedding planning and figuring all of that out. One thing I'm also really proud of from this year is I really feel like this was the year where I started prioritizing my physical and mental health a lot more than I have ever intentionally prioritized it in the past. So actually committing to and sticking to a workout schedule, or finding time to go on long walks and listen to podcasts, that made me feel so much better physically, and something I was able to commit to for all of 2023. And also reading. That is something I really wanted to refocus on 2023. I used to be a huge reader. I feel like the pandemic totally screwed me all up and gave me a much shorter attention span than I used to have. So doing a lot more reading this year, and also reading for fun, choosing fiction books in addition to workbooks that I was reading. So it really was a big year on a personal level for me in terms of filling my cup so that I can fill the cups of others, other people's cups, whatever the saying is. I also just developed a lot of skills this year that aren't directly transferable to money, like event planning. Now I'm an expert in, basically, networking, meeting new people in the wedding industry and wedding content creators. So there's a lot that happened this year that I feel like isn't as quantifiable, especially from a revenue perspective, and that is okay. If you feel the pressure to grow year over year, or people post their end of year graphics and it's just all up and no craziness in the middle, just know that mostly we are on this kind of wavelength. Some years are a little up, some years are a little down, and the whole point is to find your own consistency and what works for you. And I'm really proud of all that I did this year. And if I made a little less because I was taking a little more time to be with family or to do wedding planning and things like that, that's a choice that I made. And at the end of the day, I am really okay with that. I personally feel like just mentally, physically, all of the things, I am in a really good place as we move into 2024. And I'm so excited for all of the potential ahead for this year, especially for content creators and for small business owners. Please let me know what you think of this breakdown in the comments. And if you know your top income stream of 2023, I would love to hear what it was. Please include that down below as well. Don't forget to download my free guide, The Influencer Launchpad, if you have not yet already, and really do go take the Finding Your Why quiz. I think that's a great one for the start of the year, just to reframe your mentality and give you a bit of direction. If you've made it to the end of this video and you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do consider hitting the red button down below. It is a huge help to me here on YouTube. It's totally free and it helps my content reach more creators. And if you enjoyed this chat about income and you'd like to see what I have to say about influencer expenses, be sure to check out the up next recommendation on the screen. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.